In this video, I will test all of the Switch emulators and see which one can run Disney Epic Mickey the best. I will use 3 emulators, Ryujinx, Yuzu, and Suyu. I will use both Vulkan and openGL for this video. I will also use this tier list to rank each and every method to find out the best one. And lastly, I will play the game with no updates, as updates crash the game in every emulator. I will first test Suyu with Vulkan. All the settings will be same for every emulator. I will also run the test at 1080p. In Suyu, with Vulkan we get anywhere from 15 to 25 FPS. But you can see the GPU is at 90% and the CPU is at 60%, which is very high for Switch emulation. But the biggest problem is not the FPS or the high usage, but it's the frame time. You can see that we get a stutter every second or half a second as shown in the frame time graph. And this makes the game much more unenjoyable. So because of the bad FPS, stutters every second, and the very high GPU and CPU usage, I can only put this in the bad tier as there are much better ways to play this game. Now I will use the openGL backend and test out the FPS. As you can see, the game always crashed at this point and we cannot get in game. Since we can't do anything, I have to put it at the unplayable tier as there is no way to get it running. Now finally I use Yuzu with the Vulkan backend. All the settings are same as Suyu. In Yuzu, with the Vulkan backend, we get the same problems as Suyu did, with its very high GPU and very high CPU usage. While we used to get 15 to 25 FPS in Suyu, in Yuzu we only get from 10 to 20 FPS, which is way worse. We also use about 10 GB of RAM and the same frame time issues as Suyu. So with everything in mind, Yuzu or Vulkan will have to go into the bad tier and lower than Suyu. Now let's change Yuzu to openGL and hope we get better results than we did get with Vulkan. Now we finally get over 30 FPS, and we can see there is no major stutters with the frame time as it remains stable compared to others. But now we get a new problem with textures and graphics popping in and out. But with openGL our GPU usage has went down to the 70s and 80s, but our CPU usage and RAM has stayed the same. So, with a playable 30 FPS and no major stutters, also with better GPU utilization, Yuzu openGL goes to the good tier as this is a nice way to enjoy the game, if you do not mind the graphics issue. Now, with Ryujinx I will first show you Vulkan backend, since Ryujinx settings are different from Yuzu. This is the settings I will use. In Ryujinx, we get anywhere from 20 to 45 FPS, which is more than Yuzu, but we can see our gameplay is not smooth as our frame time is not as stable as Yuzu. We go from 10 ms to 60 ms, these stutters are minor, but it affects the smoothness of the gameplay. Also in Ryujinx, we get a new problem. The emulator is not using our GPU and CPU to its max to achieve 60 FPS. This is more due to the game being new, and Ryujinx will fix all of this with an update. But for now we will go with these results. So considering we get above 30 FPS, and low CPU and GPU usage, we can comfortably put Ryujinx and Vulkan in the good tier as they will update and make it better in the future. And now finally we are at the last one, which is Ryujinx in openGL. In openGL mode, we can see the GPU and the CPU usage and our RAM is more than the Vulkan method. We can even see our frame time is more stable than Vulkan, but it is worse than Yuzu. But this is because I am building shaders. After I build the shaders you can see the true performance. After we have built our shaders we get a solid 30 FPS with the most stable frame time and the lowest GPU, CPU, and RAM usage out of all the methods. So with everything I have seen I can say that Ryujinx with the openGL should be in the amazing tier as it is the least demanding, and Ryujinx will get future upgrades compared to Yuzu and Suyu. With every emulator, and every backend tested. This is the final tier list on which emulators are the best for this game. As we can see, Suyu is the worst with openGL not even being able to play. Yuzu is second, it's better than Suyu, but not better than Ryujinx. And finally Ryujinx is the best both in Vulkan and openGL mode. With this, we can also see that openGL is better than Vulkan in Yuzu and Ryujinx, so always pick openGL while playing. Thanks for watching this video. If this guide helped you, please like and subscribe for more Switch videos.